Hey 9MOONS, it is your favorite one-handed gamer, DontCareBear, here to take a look at the brand new Quanba Sapphire arcade controller. Strap in and prepare to take a look at this absolutely massive swing from Quanba in their first entry into the leverless arcade controller space. Alright, here's what we're going to find in the box with the Quanba Sapphire. I'm not going to actually look at the unit itself yet, just the actual accessory content. So we're going to start off with the guide itself, a very nice robust guide that goes through every bit and detail of this really well put together peripheral here. So we're going to set that off to the side and bring that back a little bit later. Going to look at now the memory foam wrist rest. It's just tucked away inside of this cardboard sleeve and it is really pretty. It's a really nice, really good looking accessory. It holds on with these 6 magnets and otherwise looks really good. Great little memory foam action there, and really look forward to giving that some extended play testing and trying that out, seeing how it feels versus the standard plastic ramp. We also then have our shoulder strap here, so that is a really neat little accessory. In case you don't want to put it inside of a bag and carry it around, there are notches on the unit itself that clip to these little hooks here, and you can carry around the little shoulder strap. I myself probably just going to keep this in the box here, as I have a bag that I like to carry my peripherals in, so we'll go from there. USB-C cable, that's already also unboxed here, and that is a really nice heavy-duty braided cable with the USB-C on one end and the USB-A on the other. Really nice. Comes packaged with a nice Velcro strap to bundle it all together. It is a really nice little piece of hardware that comes with that. That's actually everything that comes in the box. It's short, simple, and to the point. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to the main review of the Sapphire itself. Stay tuned. Taking a look at the actual unit here, we have a beautiful hard plexiglass top with a nice, I'm guessing this is aluminum, powder-coated aluminum frame. Also got a lot of your toggle switches, which will go into more detail here momentarily, along with these other function switches and your trackpad. The face of this thing, absolutely beautiful. The artwork, completely removable, customizable, switchable. We'll go over that in another video. On the side here, we have our LED bars, which will get this guy powered on here in a sec. I'll show you what those look like in the different various ambient LED modes. On top, we actually have a rare 3.5mm jack, which is, like I said, rare. Have our shoulder strap attachment points. You could also, if you want to, possibly put keychains or other charms and just further customize this thing, which again is really nice that Quanba put into the thought process and engineering on this thing. Speaking of engineering, another great feature is the magnetic holder for the wonderful onboard storage here. Go ahead and pull this up here and take a look. So it comes with actual opaque button covers, so you can replace some of these translucent ones, which is really nice. Comes with a couple extra carry silver switches. These are full-size switches, which is really nice. All of them are default, these carry silvers. Really nice feature of the Quanba Sapphire. You've got the suction cup for manipulating your keys and getting the keycaps off, stuff like that. And it also came with a very nice tidy little screwdriver that has a Phillips head side, which makes it possible to work on this with the provided screwdriver, and a flathead side, which just is useful in a bunch of other general situations. This thing really, for a first outing for Quanba on the leverless front, they swung for the fences here, and as we keep going through this, I'm sure you'll see why. Magnets snap super nice, very snappy, beautiful stuff here on the Quanba Sapphire. All right, let's go ahead and give you guys a quick look at the connection mechanism and the backplate of this thing. Beautiful, fully rubberized, wall-to-wall anti-slip backplate, which is really nice. I love that diamond plate pattern they put in there. It just oozes drip from every orifice here. And speaking of orifices, we got a nice hidden connection point for our female USB-C. I'm gonna go ahead and grab our cable here and get her plugged in so we can actually show you the Sapphire shining with all of her functionalities powered on here. I'll go ahead and flip it down. As you can see, look at those beautiful face lights. They have this deep blue, and when you press them, they turn red, so they look really, really good whenever you operate this thing. Speaking of looking really good, another one of the functionalities that we can talk about here is the LED function. So we look at the LED switch here. If we flip it to off, you'll notice that we lose all of the face lights. However, if I turn it to the side, in the current setting, in the ambient light mode, we've got this nice little pulsing blue light. So you can actually, if you're one of those kind of people that wants it to look nice while you're playing, say you're at your local, at a major, what have you, this has you covered, because you can have the lights turned off, show your opponents the flashing good looking lights here on the sides, and keep on trucking. We'll go ahead and turn this back on. If you're someone who, you know, maybe is a streamer, something like that, you have these really nice LED buttons, you do a hand cam, and everyone's going to get to see this really, really pretty red every time you push a button. You might also see that by default, the extra buttons up here are disabled, so they actually are not illuminated when they are disabled, and these three, the M1, 2, and M3, are disabled by default. I guess that brings us into another one of our functionalities here. We have the profile selector switch, if you will, and you can actually toggle between 3 different profile modes on the Quanba Sapphire. Toggle down to 2, you'll notice my lights change. I needed to go ahead and reset this up a little bit. So now we actually have our L3 button lit up and our M1 button lit up, which in my particular case gives me access to functionalities all with my left hand while giving minimal responsibility to the right hand. Really, really nice feature set there. They give you 3 actual setups to rock with, which is really, really nice to see. So depending on the game you're playing or your accessibility needs or the setup that you feel most comfortable on, say you're switching characters, you have the flexibility to go between 3 different modes that are pre-configured, and you don't have to necessarily go through the hassle of full button configuration every time, which is really, really nice. Continuing on our exploration of the physical toggle switches along the top of the Quanba Sapphire, we do have our pretty simple console selector switch. You've got your PC mode, your PS4, and your PS5 mode. Pretty simple to the point stuff. You'll love to see that. And what I love to see personally about that is the PS4 and PS5 compatibility. Say you're at a local, once again, you're on an older game that requires a PS4, Quanba has you covered there, which is really, really nice. I love that. Coming from other peripherals where they only had PS5 and PC compatibility, or you could play PS4 on a PS5, you know, that kind of compatibility. This is really nice to see that they thought backwards and forwards compatible with the current console generation. Really, really fantastic stuff. Speaking of console compatibility, that brings us to our next toggle switch here. We have the TP/C, TP standing for trackpad. We walk over here to the Quanba trackpad. If you are in PS4 or PS5 mode and we switch over to trackpad mode, you'll notice that the C button gets disabled, but now the trackpad would function as you would expect it to if you were operating this like a PlayStation controller in a PlayStation environment on the PlayStation operating system. Switching back to C, now you have a more traditional select switch. However, that's fully mappable typically in any game that you want, and you can use the heads-up display over here to actually fully remap these however you see fit. It's really fantastic. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Finishing off our physical toggle switch selection here, we actually have the last but certainly not least tournament lock setting, which is going to disable any of your top level keys up here that are not just designated face buttons. So you're going to prevent any kind of pauses or unnecessary interrupts to the gameplay, causing you to take that L, not be putting your best foot forward. So that's a really nice feature. Physical toggle, short, simple, to the point. Toggle that on. None of these buttons work anymore. They no longer do the functions that they once did. Toggle it back on. You are right as rain to manipulate and edit your controller as you see fit. Going to go ahead and move through the rest of these physical buttons along the top. We've got our traditional share button. You got your mute button that'll actually mute your 3.5mm audio jack if you have headphones plugged into that, which is really, really nice. Continuing our journey over here, we have our heads up display with its setting button. We're going to get into a little bit more depth on that here in a moment, so stick around. And we have our pause button and our Quanba trackpad there. One thing that I will say I'm a little disappointed in this trackpad is that when it's in PC mode, it doesn't actually function like a mouse trackpad. That's the most minor nitpick. Everything else on the functionality for this top bar has been top notch, and I really, really like it. So with that being said, we'll keep moving on, and I think we'll take a look at some of the other software features now. All right, taking a look at the heads-up display here. It's a really neat feature of the Quanba Sapphire. It'll actually display both of the directions that you are pressing along with the physical button that you have mapped. It is a very nice little feature, especially when you get into the, once again, 3 different customizable profiles. It's really nice to be able to see what button you're pressing, what you got up to in those late night lab hours, mapping some crazy mad scientist configurations. You have that available here, and you can get yourself out of trouble by either entering button configuration mode and resetting everything back to default, or by using the button commands that we'll go over here in a moment. So say you've been in the lab doing your mad scientist configurations and you want to undo the monstrosity that you've created. Well, Quanba has you covered here. They thought ahead, and actually if you go ahead and you hold down both this settings button and the menu button for 3 seconds, hold that down, it will wipe out the profile, set it back to the default configuration, giving you a clean slate to work with, which is really nice to see. Love that functionality. Love that it's really simple, not hard to access, not behind 3 layers of a menu on this tiny screen, just right there. Really good stuff. And now we'll go ahead and move on into talking about the button configuration mode for you guys. All right, gamers, so let's talk about the button mapping mode here for a second. So there's a couple of things that we need to do to actually get into the button mapping mode, and we're going to talk about it here real quick. So you're going to have to make sure that your LED switch is set to LED. You're going to want to make sure that your trackpad /C is set to C. And then what you're going to want to do to enter the mode itself is you're going to want to hold the settings button down for 3 seconds. You'll notice after I did that, now the up key is blinking blue. What does that mean? That means that we are now going to reconfigure that key to wherever we press. So if I want to reconfigure my up to R3, now you can see my up is on R3, and the heads up display will actually light up and show, okay, up has been mapped. You do the same process for each of the buttons, or say you only wanted to change up to R3, you can either tap each of those buttons individually. So I go down, left, right, run through all of these, or you can press the settings button and it will lock in the current default configuration for the button. Really fantastic stuff. Love the way this functions. Love the button configuration mode. Super simple, super easy to access, really easy to configure, and again, really easy to set back to default if you just lose track of what you were doing and get lost in the sauce. And speaking of getting lost in the sauce, it's easy to do so with the feature set available of the Quanba Sapphire, and particularly the button mapping mode. It is really fantastic. We got the going back into it, say I don't want my R3 to be up, we'll go ahead and remap that, but then I accidentally set down to M2. Well, what do I want to do? What do I do? I don't want to reconfigure everything. Well, I can just press the options button and that will let me fix my mistake. Bada bing, bada boom. Or even then, say I did it this way and I want to get out of it without saving. I can, 1, wait for 60 seconds, which is really nice. I can hold down the menu key for 3 seconds, which is really nice. Or I can tap it repeatedly 3 times and exit that way. However, I want to go ahead and make sure that this is all set up correctly. So we'll go ahead and cycle through, make sure my profile 2 is hunky-dory copacetic, and we'll go ahead and get it saved by holding down that button again. Bam, locked in. And that is our button configuration mapping mode, everybody. All right, another feature that we want to go ahead and look at while we have this beautiful thing powered on is the ambient LED mode. So we're going to go ahead and switch off the LED switch there. And once again, you'll see we've got this beautiful blue strobe breathing effect. But what happens if we press the glow button? Well, you are going to go through each of the actual ambient light modes. So if I press this again, I should get the rainbow constant ambient, which is really nice. Full RGB in this thing. Really great to see. Press it again, it'll turn the lights off so you can go completely stealth mode if you really want to. Got the default blue glow, which is really nice. You love to see that. It just does its thing, looking really pretty there. I believe this one, we go ahead and we cycle through all of our rainbow lights, which is really nice. It doesn't do the full ambient rainbow, just kind of cycles through the colors. Still really nice. I believe this mode is you press, and yeah, the length of the press actually dictates the color. So if you do short presses, you get the little bit of strobing at the bottom. Long presses and hold, you get the full RGB strip. That's really, really nice. Go ahead and switch back. Now we cycled all the way through. That is all 6 light modes that you get for ambient on the LED mode for the Quanba Sapphire. Really, really cool feature set on this thing. They, again, really swung for the fences, giving options to both people that want to have hand cams or just like the LED buttons and the ambient light modes aside, alongside it. It's really, really fantastic. All right, gamers, it is time now for our final thoughts and impressions on the Quanba Sapphire itself. Overall, I've been using it daily driving for fighting games, platformers, all kinds of different applications for about a month now, and I've definitely assembled a list of pros and cons that this thing has accumulated over that little period of use. We're going to go ahead and start with the pros, because there's definitely more pros than cons in my opinion. So starting with the pros, easy to pick up and learn this peripheral, really great, really just out of the box, plug and play, nothing fancy, nothing to it to set up. It was built with customization in mind. It's really astounding to see a stick come out and then have the ability to fully customize it with a built-in toolkit and everything else that they just provide out of the box. I don't have to, outside of needing a template from a website, I don't have to go jump through a million hoops to get artwork created and printed and just put it on the leverless controller. It's really, really awesome, and that leads into its top-notch build quality. It is fantastic. Every single bit and bob on this thing feels super, super high quality. It's truly astounding. Like, for the price point that it's offered at and what you get, I cannot boast enough about how good it is. It's also, again, it's just with the customization factor, they also built in replaceability, hot swappability, and really nice things like the built-in extra keycaps being clear or opaque, so you can choose which ones you want. They gave you extra full-size mechanical switches that are swappable without you needing to solder a new switch into place. It's really, really good. Like, the built-in tool storage, next level, really awesome stuff. And that's all just the hardware kit and function, not to mention the software side of things, where you've got the custom layout configuration, 3 of them off the rip that you can set, fire and forget, and then just have at your convenience whenever. It's really awesome, really able to just do what you need to when you need it to, and on whatever console you might be trying to plug it into. PS4, PS5, and PC compatibility all built in. That's pretty much unheard of in a leverless. It's really, really cool. It's honestly, in my opinion, going forward, if future leverless arcade controllers don't release with this level of polish, I'd say, what are they doing? Quanba, in my opinion, is setting the standard on how these things should release, quality, price point, and everything else. This is a under $200 controller with tax and shipping included. That's incredible. The other things to look at, going back to the hardware side of things, I really appreciate the secure USB-C connection, locks into place. There's no risks of it getting ripped out, disconnected. The cable itself's beautiful, braided, heavy-duty cable. Plenty of length for any application that you're going to need. The heads-up display, fantastic piece of hardware that lets you, without needing a game, customize your setup and everything. Just peak. Really, really love that. And on top of that, the heads-up display leading into the easy button configuration mode, really, really awesome. As someone with a disability, the accessibility that comes along with new face buttons and not just your traditional leverless layout with your up, left, right, down, and then your 8 face buttons. Having those additional buttons, night and day, game changing. From accessibility, from what you want to do, even if you have 10 fully functional digits, those additional buttons, night and day. Say you're better with your left hand and you got better reactions, well, now you have the option. And that is something that is almost immeasurable for a gamer like myself. It is truly astounding that I have something that can adapt and correct for me and help things where physically I can't produce results. So that's really, really awesome. But with all good things, this too must come to an end, and we're going to step into some of the cons that I found throughout the utilization of the Quanba Sapphire. Pretty short, pretty sweet. Nothing too detrimental. One of the big things, and I think my biggest thing for this, is in the button configuration mode. I think that it should be able to duplicate inputs. If I want to have 2 R2s or 2 ups or whatever, what have you, you should let me program that in. I'm not saying I want full button macros programmable. I don't want a single button that can program and hit all 8 buttons on the face at once. No, I want multiple inputs. So like Street Fighter 6 as an example, If I want to have multiple parry options, I want to be able to parry with my left thumb and what's left of my right pinky, I should be able to choose that. And I think in a software update, firmware update later down the line, it'd be nice to see that. That's huge. The other thing, software side and controller wise, I really miss the fact that coming from the Razer Kitsune, depending on the game that I was playing, if I had a preference, I could swap the SOCD mode. I'm pretty sure that the Quanba Sapphire is stuck in true neutral mode, so it doesn't have the availability for no SOCD cleaning, standard SOCD cleaning, true neutral, and then I can't remember the fourth profile name off the top of my head, but we are locked into the one and only SOCD. And that's kind of a con in my opinion. I think if you're going to give people this amount of choice and flexibility, lean all the way in and give me a quick key shortcut, just like the Kitsune has, to change the Sapphire to different SOCD modes. Now getting into some minor cosmetic and hardware cons, I think the provided screwdriver, while it is great, it's non-magnetic in the depth that the screws in the back of the Sapphire go to. It would really help if that little screwdriver was even sitting next to a magnet inside the case so that it could, you know, pick up some of that magnetism and then help get those screws out, because otherwise it's a little tedious for a process that's super easy for all intents and purposes. And then that brings me into, I think Quanba could do a little bit better job on the factory setting, factory floor level, tightening the screws on the back panel, because full disclosure, when I wanted to, I tried my best to use the provided tool set and only the provided tool set to work on the Quanba Sapphire out of the box. It would be possible, however, I got a little uncomfortable on the first couple of screws because the screwdriver itself, not magnetic, and it's also a little bit too sharp for those blade or for the screw heads, and I really worried that I would strip one of those screws out. So at least for the first time taking it apart or disassembling it, modifying it, whatever customization you're doing, I'd recommend using a different screwdriver and then tightening it to your comfort level, and then from there you can use the built-in screwdriver. I think that's kind of it. Those are the pros and cons that we have here. It's a really great overall offering, and I think with that we'll go ahead and put a bow on this, wrap it up, and get you guys on your way. So that's going to do it for our review of the Quanba Sapphire. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, taking the time to hear our thoughts today, and don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe, all that fun stuff, so you can keep tuned on what 9moons is doing, get more gaming content, awesome product reviews like this one, and everything else that the 9moons umbrella covers here. Appreciate you guys, and with that being said, I am once again your favorite one-handed gamer, DontCareBear, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye everybody.